This is the Edge of Concurrence Exotic Glaive, and it's only available for crafting on the Hunter subclass. Now, the only thing you've probably heard about this thing is how bad it is, and rightfully so. When it first arrived to Destiny 2, it was hot garbage. Its perk was pretty cool, but it was just too hard to proc, and so a lot of hunters, myself included, put it down in disappointment. This is the Lucky Raspberry exotic chest piece, and it's an exotic chest piece. Ever since this D1 exotic came back to Destiny 2, it's been sitting warm and cozy in the back of every hunter's vault, because when you have things like Shinobu's Vow, Orpheus Rig, and Lucky Pants, this thing that sometimes work on a lackluster grenade is the last thing you want to use. So of course I got to thinking, is it possible to combine two of the least used, least talked about, and frankly, least exotic exotics and make a build worth using? And I'm here to tell you, I've made one of the best exotic builds in the game! And it's all thanks to the new toys brought to us in Arc 3.0, and the changes Bungie made to glaives in general, and to the class-specific exotic glaives. You'll get infinite ability uptime, infinite damage boost, use your glaive like a primary, blind enemies, and when you need to, you'll call down a lightning strike that'll make Thor blush. In this build, you will become the Lucky Lancer. And hey, if you like what you see, why not go ahead and hit the like button? So let's first talk about Edge of Concurrence. It has the exotic perk Lightning Seeker. When weapon energy is full, you consume it with your reload before firing to make your next shot track targets across the ground and unleash chain lightning on impact. Now, before the changes, this perk was a nightmare to use. It was unpredictable, it didn't do that much damage, and it just wasn't that fun to use. But now, this thing slaps, or stabs. Every 4 to 5 shots using your projectile gives you a super powerful lightning strike that deletes majors, bosses, and pretty much anything you point it at. And you don't even need to point it. If you shoot it on the ground in front of enemies, it's gonna just track to them. So the goal is to make that super powerful, super fun perk now, and literally power it up to the maximum and use it as much as possible. And to do that, we're gonna be using our exotic armor, the Lucky Raspberry. Now, this didn't get a rework in Arc 3.0, but it didn't need to. The perk is simple. Probability Matrix says it increases the chaining capabilities of arc bolt grenades and has a chance to recharge it each time it deals damage. A full chain always recharges. So on a normal chain, you get about 25% damage per chain, but if you hit the right amount of enemies, you just get your grenade back. Boom, you got it back. This used to be so unpredictable. Now, it did work, but it was always simple, sometimes powerful, and boring. Until now. Arc 3.0 makes this a monster. Let's talk about our setup. So obviously with Lucky Raspberry, we're using arc bolt grenades, and the dodge that we're going to be using is marksman dodge, so we can reload our glaive as quick as possible, and we won't miss the melee energy we get from gambler's dodge because we're using a glaive. We have infinite melees. For aspects, we have flow state. Defeating jolted targets makes you amplified, and while you're amplified, your dodge charges faster and your reload speed is greatly increased. Pretty simple, pretty powerful. Lethal current. After dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Now, again, we won't be using our normal class melee as much in this build, but when we do, it's a quick and easy way to get amplified, to blind enemies, and to clear a wave of adds. It's also a nice way to heal up in a pinch since we're combining it with combination blow. For fragments, we have Spark of Shock. Our arc grenades jolt targets. You know how much I love Jolt. I put this on every arc build, but here, it makes our arc bolt grenades even more deadly. We're able to chain even more enemies, and with the mods we're going to be using, this puts in major work. We have Spark of Ions. Defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. Now, ionic traces are like little mini elemental wells. I love them. They just come to you bearing gifts of ability energy. We have Spark of Beacons. While you're amplified, your arc special weapons, glaive, final blows create a blinding explosion. This allows us to stay in the thick of battle with our glaive. we're basically using it as a primary, and beacons makes it so that we're pumping out crazy damage to waves of enemies while they stay blinded and not able to hit us back. It's amazing. Did I mention I like explosions? Spark of Discharge. Our arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. I just really like leaning into ionic traces. With this, just about everything we do creates an ionic trace, which means even more ability energy for us. So now you're starting to see our build take place. Our arc bolt grenades instantly jolt enemies, giving you a much better chance of proccing the exotic perk and getting your grenade back instantly. And if you get in the right rhythm, you can just constantly spam your grenade and that would be fine. But they don't call us the Lucky Lancer for nothing. Let's pump up our glaive to max and pump out some crazy damage with our mod. On our solar helmet, we have elemental ordnance alongside 2 glaive ammo finders. Double finders makes it so that we get our glaive ammo back pretty regularly, and with elemental ordnance, no brainer, lucky raspberry, arc bolt grenades, every time we get a grenade kill, we're proccing elemental wells. For our solar gauntlets, we have bountiful wells and fastball. Bountiful Wells gives us double the wells, and Fastball makes it so that we're bonking thralls in the face at 95 miles an hour with an arc bolt, and it's glorious. On our Lucky Raspberry, we have it spec'd for arc, alongside Seeking Wells, glaive reserves, and a melee damage resist because we are going to be in the thick of battle. And I'm fancy. I need my wells to come to me. Of course, glaive reserves also are critical here. We get even more glaive ammo. On our solar leg armor, we have Font of Might, Glaive Scavenger, and Recuperation. This is boosted arc damage for our glaive. And I'm talking about 25%, and yes, our super shot gets a bonus as well. Font of Might is a must-have for this build. With it, we're able to delete stuff that doesn't even make sense. It's super powerful. And for our solar class item, we have Elemental Armaments, alongside Bomber and Special Finisher. Since our glaive is clearing waves and waves of enemies, Elemental Armaments is going to proc a lot. And of course, we're feeding our abilities and glaive damage simply by getting kills with it. So with this, we're basically always powered up and have near infinite ability uptime. And there you have it. You see a group of enemies. You throw your arc bolt grenade and you tag all of them. You jolt them in the process. Now you're amplified. And chances are, you just got all your grenade energy back thanks to Lucky Raspberry. You're recharged up and ready to go again. You can just start chucking grenades left and right. But if you're feeling fancy, you can whip out your glaive and go to town. The arc wells are going to seek their way to you, and they're going to pump up your damage, and you're going to get a nice little Font of Might boost to all your projectiles. And every kill you get thanks to Spark of Beacons is going to create a blinding explosion that damages everything around it. And after just a few shots from your glaive, you flip a switch and boom! You call down the lightning with Lightning Seeker and zap everything in front of you out of existence. Finders and scavengers keep you topped off with ammo, so all you have to do is dodge, reload, and keep the chain of destruction going. And now you have options. You start the grenade chain again, or you just keep knocking them down with Edge of Concurrence. You're melting Legend Lost Sectors, Nightfalls, Champions, Gambit Blockers, you name it! When they go up against the Lucky Lancer, they all fall down. But that's it for me. That's it for the video. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, peace out.